people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. And I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's so good to me. Let me tell you, God has everybody, sometimes, for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, all fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners, and welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours, you can call in and join the conversation, and you'll be heard nationwide, every state and every region of the country. All you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797.
or you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go on our live stream and go to the message page. Send me a message. We already getting some of our message page people. Carrie Wilson saying good morning. Janet Overall, good afternoon, everyone. Yolanda Watkins Thompson is saying good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton. Carolyn Pierce Alexander. God has smiled on me. That's a song James Brown and I did years ago. God has smiled on me. Thank you for your words of wisdom every day. Carolyn from Dallas. Carolyn Pierce Alexander's from Dallas. And I appreciate that. Kennedy Marie Shabazz says, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and everyone. God bless you, and I love you. And, of course, Tish is on. Tricia says, good afternoon, Reverend Al, and the chat. Happy Tuesday, as always. A lot to get to, and I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for Reverend Al. All right, a lot to get to is right, Tricia. The fact that we are being told that the president has not only ordered the National Guard into Los Angeles against the will or request of the governor, that they're now having on standby 700 Marines for what was a protest. Had peaceful protest yesterday. Day before that, it was mostly peaceful. Some people burned up 2 or 3 cars. And the day before that was mostly peaceful. Now, you're talking about Los Angeles. You're not talking about some little place in the woods that does not know how to handle demonstrations. Los Angeles has had to handle many demonstrations, much more volatile than that. And I've been involved in some. I've led marches in L.A. We have officers in L.A. now, National Action Network. And I talked to Reverend Jonathan Mosley and Sister A. Couture last night on our staff conference call. They run the L.A. office. And they've been on the streets trying to help the protesters and the migrant workers. They said there has not been this rampant violence. Let me say this. The National Guard is called in when the local law enforcement is overwhelmed. They're almost a last resort. The Marines are never called in. So you have to ask yourself, what is Trump doing and why? And let me tell you what I think he's doing. One, I think that he always wanted to make the migrant issue a big issue because it's an issue that he can try and fool people, including some blacks, that the reason why jobs are not as available as we would want, reason why the cost of living is not where I promised, it's the migrants. First of all, that's a lot of nonsense. Migrants wasn't here the whole founding of this country. Blacks have always been doubly unemployed to whites, including this last economic indicator a few weeks ago. Them jobs didn't go to our migrants. So that whole migrant scare thing is bogus. The reason that I think that Donald Trump went all in is that he had a terrible week before this with Elon Musk, his world's richest man and friend, turned on him big time, even brought up he may be in the Epstein files. And he wanted to cover that, get it off the front page. And he has this big, ugly, that he calls beautiful bill that would cut Medicaid, that would cut in the SNAP program, that would defund the Civil Rights Bureau and the Department of Justice, and they would end the whole question of this big, beautiful bill. That's what he wants, to take the attention off of that. Have you run around like we watching a soap opera every day saying, wait a minute, was there any violence today? Whoop, anybody arrested today? Got you watching an instigated confrontation in L.A. Why do you say instigated, Rev Mal? Because there's always protests in L.A. Him sending in the guard is what blew it up. And he wants to keep it going by bringing in the Marines. Why? To churn the page on the media. So by the time we get through obsessing with whether or not there's riots in L.A., even though we looking and don't see it, we'll forget all about Elon Musk said that this bill was an abomination. We forget about the fact that you got even some right-wingers saying the bill's no good, because we've been freaking out, programmed by Donald Trump on him chasing migrants in California. That's where it is. I'm saying don't bite the bait. We should, in my judgment, support any efforts to stop the National Guard and the Marines to do anything to citizens there. And we should support migrants that's been here and done the work, paid their taxes and their dues, and now all of a sudden put them out. We should support both. But we should not lose sight of the fact, that we are who we are. And that is why it is important we use our strength, our muscle, our mentality to guide where this country is going. So I want to talk about that today. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Twitter.com, The Rev Al, Twitter.com, The Rev Al. Let's talk about the aftermath of California. Talk about Trump's position now that he is in the rock and a hard place between the Saudis and the parasites. Let's take it when we get right back. 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton, keeping it real. We will be right back. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. He didn't just We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Keeping it real, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back.
Rev, you live.
Okay, I didn't know that. We're back, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I certainly want to hear what you have to say about what I think is more and more theater set up by Donald Trump. So when the smoke clears, he will have tried to get through his big, beautiful bill, which is really ugly, and he will have also at the same time put in yesterday's garbage the Elon Musk scandal. I also think that he doesn't have to deal with DEI. He doesn't have to deal with none of these issues. He's got us watching what's going on in L.A. like we at the movies with popcorn. And that in and of itself, let me tell you something, for him to come out and list 19 countries that he is banning from travel to the United States, all of them black, brown, or Muslim. So there's, I guess, no country in the world white that is a threat to this country. Just those those countries or those nations. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Right in Haiti, where there is complete evidence over and over again how the gangs are in charge and people being killed, they cannot come to the United States now. Sudan, what's going on, tribal war, they cannot come to the United States. But 59 whites 3 weeks ago was allowed to come to the United States at our expense, given refugee status, because they say there's a white genocide going on against whites in South Africa that nobody, no journalist, no network, not even Fox News can go down there and find that out. And you're sitting up here paying for it. Your tax dollars and y'all that don't vote. So let me be clear. It's only going to get worse till we make it better. It's not going to stop on its own. I'm going to open up the phones and the message page, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. I do not waste your time. I only want quality guests that's in the thick of what's going on, or have top analysts and deal with unapologetically our issues. Supported. I got ratings this morning. You were with us all weekend. Last weekend, you beat CNN with the ratings. As you know, ratings matter to stay on the air. But with me, content matters, and the guests matter. And watch it every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, MSNBC. You that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally this Saturday. I'll be there. This is Father's Day weekend while Trump is having his parade in Washington. We will be supporting fathers and, among other things, at the rally. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And, of course, we're gearing up. I had a great call last night, clergymen, Zoom call. Clergymen all over the country are preparing for the August 28th March on Wall Street. And they were very encouraged by it, saying we need to put it on the corporate world and the corporate community. They're the ones funding Trump. They're the ones standing by Trump. They're the ones that will benefit from this bill. And I want you to be part of it. You can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can sign in where you'll be on the list every Friday. You'll get a message from me on what to say to people to inspire them to be a part of the march. And we already have buses from various cities that have been announced, and I want you there. As we stand strong, we're going to be non-violent but nonsensical either. We're going to take no nonsense. And I want you to be a part of history. Let me say Black Music Month. I'm taking calls every day on the top black music, both songs or recordings, in your opinion, and the top black artists. All right, let's get right into it. Let's go to Florida, to Dooley. Dooley, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. Dooley?
Yeah, I'm Dollar Bill cousin. He used to drive James Brown bus.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
I said, I'm a Dollar Bill cousin. He used to drive James Brown bus for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, I just kind of let you know who I was, because I came up there last June, but I couldn't get there in time for the Saturday rally.
Okay.
Anyway, what I want to say, Reverend Al, we're in some very, very dangerous times, because this man that said he wanted to be dictator from day one is going about his business of being a dictator. When he usurped the authority of the governors, and like the governor of California say, we pay more in federal taxes than we get back from y'all anyway.
That's right.
But now on January 6th, when he should have called out the Marines and the National Guard, he wanted to take over and go back there and help them take over. And then when he got to be president, he pardoned all of them. And then the one lady that got shot by the federal police in Washington, D.C., her family just got $5 million.
Yes,
and now here go the thing about it is, it ain't about really none of that, but it's about what was that? Elon Musk talked about that Donald Trump and Epstein was in something.
Right.
We know that one of the princes of England and also Bill Clinton and a few other famous people. See, now they just picked on Bill Cosby and what's that guy's name? R. Kelly, and they messing with P. Diddy now. That's probably why P. Diddy probably get pardoned, is so in case something like that come up against him, he'll have a precedent or a benchmark to measure off of. But the truth of the matter is, this is all to keep your mind off the Epstein files. We need to find out about these Epstein files before they disappear.
Well, I think you raised some very good points, Dooley. Thank you for your call. I didn't respond when you said you were Dollar Bill, James Brown's bus driver's name, because I was waiting to see where you was going. I didn't know, I knew Dollar Bill, and then when I was young, running around with James Brown, I thought you was calling to say I still owe Dollar Bill some money, because I was trying to remember that I borrowed some money from him, because I was broke in them days. But thank you for your call, and give my regards to the family. Let me go to Harry in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Harry, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
How you doing today, Reverend Mal?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm fine. God bless you with another day. But what I was calling for is that all of this stuff about the President Trump. When are they going to start? When are they going to start the impeachment process to get him up out of there?
It's a great question. I think that whether they have the majority votes or not, I think they ought to go forward and put it out there. For this man, against the wishes of a governor of a state, of a mayor of a city, to send in the National Guard, where it is the custom that you get the request of the governor. It hadn't happened since the 60s, where you go in without the request of the governor, and where there's clearly no need for no Marines. I mean, if that's not a grounds for impeachment, I don't know what is. This is crazy.
Yes, sir, you're right, too. And I'm wondering why they didn't do that on January the 6th a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when they should have called them out to get them out of there. And then like the caller before said, he pardoned all the ones that was participating in that. And now here we go again. So, I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's right. You hit it right on the head.
All right, dear Reverend.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me, on my live stream, I see OG Kelly is saying, Bob Marley, 1973, get up, stand up for your rights. He wants to raise that song in Black History Month. And Tricia, always on the case, says, let's not forget we just lost Sly Stone. Sly and the Family Stone. Sly Stone passed on Monday at 82 years old. And I remember when I was coming along, there wasn't nothing bigger and Sly and the Family Stone. They come to Madison Square Garden 2 or 3 times a year, 20,000 seats, and pack it each time. Great musician, great stylist of music. Let's take a break. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. New Jersey, don't forget to go out and vote. Today's primary day in New Jersey. We're going to see how Ras Baraka comes through. Don't forget to vote in New Jersey. Be right back. Keep it real. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley, Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York, chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, met with the chairman of the board, met with the CEO. I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump said he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
All right, you're live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to the mayor. Mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York. Mayor Rodney Jones. Mr. Mayor.
Hey, my shepherd, how are you today?
Doing very well. How you doing?
I'm good. Little rain, but you know, God always gonna bless us with some rain, so to make the flowers grow.
That's right.
First, I want to give my condolences to Mr. Sly Stone.
Yes.
You know, I know I was raised on his music, you know, and he, you know, a lot of his stuff was so positive. If you listen to his old stuff, you know, he was what's that? Together, be my again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was always, yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
I remember that song.
Awesome,
Thank you
awesome.
for being my friend. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir. And I want to congratulate this Dominique Sharpton. Man, excellence, man. Excellence, Rev. Yo, the apple don't fall from the tree. Congratulations, Dominique. Congratulations to the Queen. God bless you always. God bless Call for Productions. May God continue to bless y'all in your endeavors.
Well, thank you.
Man, awesome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know you're a proud papa.
I definitely am that.
I know you are, sir. I know you are. Listen, what do you think about this depopulation thing? I think it's like this government, Trump, all the distraction and all that, but depopulation, meaning removing black and brown people. And now with RFK Jr. with this CDC thing, like diseases are going to run rampant. You know, people are going to wind up dying and can't be covered by, getting medication. You know what I'm saying? Getting treatment or injection. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on the thing about like depopulation? Because I see like certain countries back in the day, like history repeats itself with the depopulation. You know what I'm saying? Want to remove certain people.
I think that it is clearly there are those who would love, and I do mean love, to see a decrease, I'll put it that way, in our population.
Right.
And that would like to see an increase in the majority of whites be sustained. I think that is, in my opinion, no question about it. Now, I try to be careful so they don't say that I'm selling conspiracy theories, but I think that it is very obvious to me that there are those that are absolutely committed to white supremacy and to, in many ways, enhance the population of some at the expense of others is not beyond them. Let me put it that way.
Okay. And I just want to speak on the military terms. All right, this thing with this National Guard. Okay, I remember that back in '92 with Rodney King thing when the riots happened.
Right.
The governor at that time, the governor, not Bush, the governor had the National Guard come and to quell things. So this president, right? We called him, when I was in the service, active duty member, commander in chief. Active duty members was not doing this. So when he starts having like Marines, active duty Marines doing this stuff, this is not right, bro. This is not right. When I took the oath, right, in 1981, Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn, New York, I would defend the Constitution against foreign domestic threat. Nah, we wasn't thinking about, no. I hope Congressman Green continues to bring up the impeachment thing. We got to get this dude out of here. I mean, we are in serious times. You always bring it to us because you have the knowledge. And people ain't getting it, Rev. People ain't getting it. We got to keep beating in their heads.
That's right.
We got to keep beating in their heads, Rev.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's
I
right.
love you, my shepherd.
I love you.
Continue. God bless you and your family. Dominique, love you, Dominique. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let me, as always, Mr. Mayor, let me go to Brother Greg in South Carolina. Greg.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I just wanted to start off by saying thanks as a veteran and former Army officer for how you're highlighting that military issue out in California. I think the previous brother is a veteran too, so I think the people can see that veterans all over the nation with that situation, we're sitting on pins and needles. And the number one reason, Reverend Al, is the worst case scenario for any veteran or active duty soldier is to see United States soldiers versus American citizens.
Right.
That's the worst thing that we could see, Reverend Al.
Yep. Yep.
And I wanted to highlight that when you see that situation, when we as a people see that situation, Reverend Al, we are 1 inch away from a real constitutional crisis in case there's a misstep either in California or another city. And I called in today, Reverend Al. I try to, relay information with Googles. And I have 2 Googles for your show and also a suggestion for a guest on Politics Nation, just to present it to you.
Okay.
Now, the first Google is reference to the situation in California. And this is the Google, Reverend Al, that it might be bigger than what we're thinking. And the Google search for the people is Trump 20,000 soldiers. That's Trump 20,000 soldiers. Now, as you're watching the news, they're saying they deployed 2,000 National Guard to California and maybe an additional 700 Marines. But there's an article in the AP News dated May 2025 where the Trump administration, the Department of Homeland Security, sent a formal request to the Pentagon to activate 20,000 active duty National Guard soldiers for Homeland Security. And what that article breaks down, Reverend Al, they're going to be assisting ICE, not just in Los Angeles, but in different cities throughout the country, all over the country, assisting in deportation. But one thing that stood out to me is they'll have soldiers assisting at detention centers. That kind of struck a chord because I had not heard that before. So in addition to Los Angeles, the mayors of Chicago, the mayor of D.C., and the mayor of New York, they need to look at the long-term ramifications of President Trump deploying active duty soldiers for ICE operations. Secondly, another Google that goes to what you and the brother, is that Mayor Rodney from Queensbridge?
Yeah, Mayor Rodney Jones, that's right.
Yes, sir. And he had brought up the topic of depopulation. And I would strongly suggest that he do this Google and also the people. And the Google is Trump Office of Remigration. Now, all of us have heard of immigration, but the Trump administration is looking at opening or reorganizing within the State Department, specifically this Google, Trump Office of Remigration, Remigration. And I had never heard of this term before, so I started to do some research on it, Reverend Al. And what I found is this is a far-right agenda that originated in Europe, and they focus on the deportation of illegal immigrants, the deportation of legal immigrants who have some type of administrative problem with their status, but most importantly, the third principle of remigration is the eventual deportation of what they call non-assimilated citizens. And so to highlight that Google, President Trump and his administration, you'll see several articles where they have already decided to reorganize the State Department, him and Secretary Rubio, to make a new department called the Office of Remigration. And it's based on those far-right principles of including even the eventual deportation of what they call non-assimilated citizens. And lastly, Reverend Al, for a suggestion for your Politics Nation show, I called your show about a year ago, and you had mentioned when you were running for president, there on the stage was a former four-star general, General Wesley Clark.
Right.
And he's a West Point graduate like myself, and I just want to put on the table, a suggestion to you that as you cover these military issues, that maybe you reach out to General Wesley Clark.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
He might be willing to appear on your show. So I just want to put that on the table, Reverend Al.
That'd be a great idea. And I think Wesley Clark and I was on Morning Joe once about 3 years ago. But I would love to have him on my show. It's a great idea. In the break, I'm going to text my senior producer over there at our office over there. Thank you for that. You gave us a lot, Brother Greg. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. I see Lori Parks is on the message board giving her condolences to the family of Sly Stone. And I certainly join her with that. We'll be right back.
God
country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say real song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I get up. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Powell said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way. If you just keep the faith and refuse to lose, and God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God had smiled on me. He had let me free. Let me sing here. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, Lord. It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
But they can't kill the dreamer.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
The Al Sharp.
You live, Rev.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me read from the message board. We're taking your calls at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board, and which is at live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Evangelist Ramsey, one of the most loyal, committed activists I know, writes, Reverend Sharpton, pray for the family of one of your Nan family members, 92-year-old Uncle James, originally from Harlem, later relocated to Brooklyn. The remaining days went home to glory Monday I think she's saying Monday, 6/9/25, yes, 9th of June, around 3:50 a.m., Spring Creek Rehab, Brooklyn. Thank you, Rev. And certainly my prayers for the family and my prayers for the loved ones of Uncle James. Thank you. And also, Evangelist Ramsey saying blessings to Mary Hicks. The mayor, Rodney Jones, who just got off, says, I guess he's listening to the caller, talked about Wesley, the general, Wesley Clark. And he says Wesley Clark is not just a great officer, soldier, but a great human being. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me go to Germany and talk with Rick. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Brother Sharpton.
Good day.
I just want to say, even though the regenerative farm documentary Common Ground, there is one narrator in that documentary who says we are 50 years away from mass human extinction. I believe we are 35 years away from mass human extinction. I encourage those who say they believe the New Testament to gather some global warming science knowledge. Not only are the polar ice caps melting, but oxygen levels are dropping in the atmosphere the last 95 years. Again, I say we've got 35 years before total apocalypse. As a spiritual person, you must love beyond family and race. The end is near. I'm done, brother man.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me say this, I definitely do not question all of the signs of environmental decay and how major corporations and even some nations are participating in things that would erode the United States not only the United States, but the globe, the planet we live in. But I think we have to also focus on our own existence. And ever since I was a boy, they've been talking about the end of the world is coming. And one of the elders in the church I grew up told me, well, Al, you can worry about the end of the world, and you should, but focus more on the end of your life, because that's the end of the world for you and what you're going to do in your life, what you're going to achieve in your life. Because you can waste a lot of time doing things that don't have any meaning if you're not focused on your appointed time. So I agree with Rick that there are those that will shorten the life span of this planet, but I also challenge you to use the time wisely that you have on this planet. Sly in Detroit, Michigan. Sly, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to give my condolences to the family of Sylvester Stewart, Sly Stone.
Yes.
And just a reflection. That Sly Stone to me was like James Brown to you. Okay, he was my all-time favorite entertainer. I used to run home from school, make sure I got my chores done, because that one week when Mike Douglas, you remember the Mike Douglas show?
I do.
When he would take his vacation, Sly Stone would be the host, and I couldn't miss any day that week of the Mike Douglas show. And my all-time favorite by him was Everybody is a Star. But a lot of people, and I'm going to go deep into his collection, a lot of people were not aware of this one song, or they may have forgotten. He made a song about racism, and it was called Don't Call Me N-Word, Whitey.
Yeah, I remember that
but
song.
He said that.
Yeah, I forgot about that song. I remember that song. I was very young, but I remember that song.
Absolutely. But that's all I just wanted to drop that, and
I thought that was a great tribute to Sly. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sly, and I appreciate your call. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. It's good talking to you. I just want to follow up with the caller before me, concerning Sylvester, Sly. To me, people may overlook, how much he influenced, a lot of other groups that came after him, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and like the Barcades, and the various other groups, Wilfred Stallman, by blending in different types of music, and bringing in a little bit of jazz, a little bit of rock, a little bit of funk. Similar to the same thing that what James Brown did. You have Michael Jackson pretty much following his footsteps, and Prince and Mick Jagger, and some of them, followed Marvin Gaye. You have a lot of singers emulating him. To me, those one of like the three pivotal entertainers, that left a mark in the music industry, especially in black music. And Sly, he was the type, who didn't change his view on the world. He included all people. But at the same time, he was a strong individual. He didn't let anyone change his view about believing in humanity. But yet he knew right from wrong. He wasn't someone to be easily pushed over as well. But and also I look at his life, with the music industry, because he was going through financial difficulties, maybe because of his addiction, but also because the music industry was not paying his entertainers correctly as well. So I think you might know a little bit more about that, how his economic situation could have been a result because of the contracts.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. Demetrius, I think that, and I've seen this with other artists. I was not that close to Sly. I think I met him once or twice, but I've dealt obviously very close with others, and they were robbed, and it was very difficult to be a star to the world and know that you're getting cheated as you're on that stage. And some of them became addicted. Some of them got bad health, and when they would speak up, you're dealing at a time when the gangsters, the mob, ran the business. And it was unhealthy to stay cheated, and it was unhealthy to deadly to speak up. And that kind of pressure alone will cause illness and mental imbalance. It was a real rough time. And I experienced some of it with them because I was close to some of it. Thank you for your call. I hear the music. Let me take the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Right after this. Did you hear about what happened in Minneapolis? I said I saw it on television. It was in the middle of a pandemic. We were all locked down, couldn't go anywhere. And just watched the news over and over again. And he said, your family would like to speak with you. He connected Philonis Floyd and one of George's brothers, carrying on with Keepin, and other members, all of the families, many of the family members. And he said they'd like you to go to Minneapolis and protest what happened, and also say that we are not a family that condone violence, but some people were burning stuff down. In the middle of a pandemic, it's important that you know that people from all over, Black America, white America, all people came together to stand with this family. But I promised them that we would be there to the end. 5 years later, some people are missing, but I had to be here. And I'll be here as long as it takes to be here. This week, we saw some change over the years. We did not get the George Floyd justice bill, but we got consent decree in Minneapolis, where he was killed, and in Louisville, Kentucky, where Breonna Taylor was killed. This week, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump said they were going to end this consent decree, which is tantamount to the Department of Justice and the President spitting on the grave. To wait to the anniversary and announce this, knowing this family was going to be brought back to the brokenheartedness of what happened, shows the disregard and insensitivity. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
This understanding of building upon the foundation left by previous generations. But I think you've mastered that, Rev. You've mastered building upon it, but also getting the current generation to understand the importance of when you accept a baton, to whom much is given, much is not only required, but much is expected.
And you do it yourself. That's why most of the people on our national staff here at National Action Network is under 40 years old. You just turned 41. Most of them. Because I believe in trying to nurture and give young people a chance, because that's what you should do. And they're going to make mistakes. I make them. But then, at the same time, they got to respect those that went ahead to lay the path that they walking down. Otherwise, don't nobody, I said one Saturday morning at Raleigh, don't nobody urinate or piss on the tree roots but a stray dog. Because your roots is what is permanent. Your branches go with the seasons. Your leaves go with the season. The roots don't change. You judge the tree by the roots, not by the branches. We're all branches from trees that were grounded, planted, and rooted. And I'm a branch of the tree of the movement that I come out of. Somebody else, another movement. But how am I going to, all them guys ahead of me to know what they was doing, when I'm a branch on their tree? My life comes from the root.
Yeah. That's good.
Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar, crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere. But when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. You got to be the new thing. This is not about likes on Facebook. This is about changes in our society. We got a hostile bigot in the White House, and we don't need a popularity contest. We need people that are grounded and rooted in this and gonna fight with all they got. Jesus went up on the mountain and told his disciples. Reverend Toon says, y'all pray with me. They went to sleep. And when they looked up, they say that he had gone up on the mountain. They termed transfiguration. Is that in the book? And he was talking to Moses and Elijah. If Jesus had to talk to those that preceded him, then how you so brilliant you ain't got to talk to nobody? So as we embark on dealing with this DEI fight, I wanted to read, I studied all week. What would Dr. King be saying? What would Reverend Jackson be saying? That's what we're doing. This ain't a Sharpton thing or whoever thing. This is a thing in continuity. If Dr. King can shut down the Montgomery bus boycott when we couldn't even ride the front of the bus, if Jesse Jackson could take on major corporations before we had cell phones, 5797-532-5797, or you can go on the live stream at www.National Action Network and send me a message on the message board. Let's go to Manhattan, New York, to Christine. Christine, we keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
I have a few points I want to make today. First of all, I want to congratulate Dominique Sharpton. I watched the Tony Awards, and of course I was looking for her, and I didn't see her. And my cousin, I'm texting her, I call her my sister cousin in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she sent me the beautiful picture from your Instagram. But that happened at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, she won as a director, as one of the executives of the co-producer of the play that won Sunset Boulevard. They don't call the producers on the stage, but she was on there. They just didn't show them. They showed the stars. But she won. I was very proud of her.
Yeah, she looked gorgeous. And listen, but Vogue magazine, beautiful. That's a beautiful picture. My second point, I always believed that 45, 47 should have been charged with treason. and the mayor from Queensbridge. Um, he too took an oath to the
Yeah, the mayor.
Constitution. And my husband took an oath to the Constitution. So that what he did against the Constitution should be treason. It's treason, not the little sweet word they gave it, insurrection, in my opinion. And my, do you think on Father's Day, no, I should say, I wish on Father's Day that the clergy could pray for this country.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do a special thing Father's Day at the House of Justice for the Saturday rally, as we do, but it's going to be special. But I'm going to say where I got you, Christine, because I'm doing the show from the corporate office, and you talked about Dominique. You about the third caller today talked about Dominique, and she's here. Dominique, they all congratulating you on winning the Tony.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Many of you know I wear a few hats. So one of them is a Broadway producer, and for the second year in a row, one of my shows was nominated. So this year, thankfully, the show that I co-produced on this season, Sunset Boulevard, took home 3 Tony Awards on Sunday, one for Best Lighting, one for lead actress in a musical, went to Nicole Schwartzinger, who is our star. Many of you may know her from being in entertainment, in show business. And then the big award we took home was the best revival of a musical that went to the producers, which included me and my producing partners of Core 4 Productions. So definitely a very big night for us, and certainly a huge night for me, taking home my first Tony Award. I can't wait for my dad to see the award. So it's been a night. Thank you so much for all your support.
All right. You're welcome, Mike. Thank you.
And I had several callers yesterday, so I wanted to pull her out of her office. She's gone back now, but let her know people around the country are congratulating her. It's a big deal. And they send the Tonys. That's why she said she can't wait for me to see them, because she didn't get them yet. They announced the winners, and they send them to them. But go ahead, Christine.
Okay, and Reverend Al, you know, I started telling some of my life. I fell in love with this man in 1973. So Gladys Knight's song took us to. I mean, we went to see Gladys Knight more times than I could count. But the best thing that ever happened to me, that's my song. And when I met my husband, I had been out with this man. This 1973. I was working at Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. Went on a date with this guy, and by the time I got home that night, I thought he had tried to kill me. And when I was, probably the first night that I got down on my knees in New York and prayed, didn't have sense enough to pray, Lord, forgive me what I've done. I prayed, Lord, send me a man that likes me as much as I like him. And God is so good, because 2 weeks later, I was at a dance, and I met my husband. And I married him in 1975. At the time, he was a sergeant in the Army. And we had a beautiful life together. And like I say, Gladys Knight's song, we went to see her so much. And like the last time we saw Gladys was at Tropicana. We had moved to North Carolina, and Tropicana, we would come to Tropicana twice a month. And, of course, she was singing that song. I thank you for listening to me.
I thank you. You know, one of the great honors in my life is last year, 2024, I turned 70, and Gladys Knight came and sung that song to me on stage. Many of you that are listening were there. We had several thousand people at Lincoln Center in New York for my birthday, and Gladys came. We honored her with the Triumph Awards, and she sung to me for my birthday. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. So I have that I have that videotape, and anytime I can feel a little bad, a little oppressed, you that are on live stream, that's the picture there of her singing to me. But anytime I feel a little depressed, I can play that tape. And I said, it's not been a bad life when Gladys Knight can serenade you on your birthday, especially when you've made 70 years. So thank you for bringing that memory back for me, Christine, as you remember your husband. God bless you. Let's take a break on that. Keeping it real. Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Be right back.
We'll hear the radio.
Hear about what happened in Minneapolis. I said I saw it on television. It was in the middle of a pandemic. We were all locked down, couldn't go anywhere. And just watched the news over and over again. And he said the family would like to speak with him. He connected Philonis Floyd and one of George's brothers, carrying on with Keepin and other members, Victoria, all of the families, many of the family members. And he said they'd like you to go to Minneapolis and protest what happened, and also say that we are not a family that condone violence, because some people were burning stuff down. In the middle of a pandemic, it's important that you know that people from all over, Black America, white America, all people came together to stand with this family. But I promised them that we would be there to the end. 5 years later, some people are missing, but I had to be here. And I'll be here as long as it takes to be justice. This week, we saw some change over the years. We did not get the George Floyd justice bill, but we got consent decree in Minneapolis, where he was killed, and in Louisville, Kentucky, where Breonna Taylor was killed. This week, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump said they were going to end this consent decree, which is tantamount to the Department of Justice and the President spitting on the grave. To wait to the anniversary and announce this, knowing this family was going to be brought back to the brokenheartedness of what happened, shows the disregard and insensitivity. Thank you. In 1972, when Shirley Chisholm ran for president, part of why she ran was to protest the war in Vietnam. In her memory, we can protest what's going on now around the world and say that if Shirley Chisholm was alive, she would not tell you to be quiet. She would tell you to stand up for what is right. From Haiti to Ukraine to Gaza, wherever there's wrong, you should stand up and fight. I met Shirley Chisholm when I was a teenager. I became part of her campaign in 1972. When she graduated this school in 46, blacks in the South were still having to ride in the back of the bus. When she graduated in 46, women around the country had no rights over the decisions of their bodies. It was because people like Shirley Chisholm stood up and fought back that blacks went all the way to the White House and women got the right to choose. In her memory, we must keep those fights alive. There are those forces today that want to turn back the clock. They can turn back the clock, but they can't turn back time. We will never go back to the back of the bus. We will never lose the right to choose. We will never bend a buckle or bow. In the name of Shirley Chisholm, keep your voices loud, keep your heads up and your back strong, and stand up for your rights.
What a beautiful tribute, Reverend Sharpton, thank you. It's also my honor right now to recognize the Reverend Al Sharpton himself, an extraordinary leader with a lifelong commitment to justice, equality, and civil rights. Reverend Sharpton stands against all forms of hate and has become a champion of open and respectful dialogue in a society often divided by rhetoric and misunderstanding. Throughout his remarkable career, Sharpton has worked to confront injustice and amplify the voices of the marginalized. From his early days organizing grassroots movements to becoming a prominent national figure, he has consistently used his platform to advocate for equal rights. Like many leaders who have been in the spotlight for decades, Reverend Sharpton has evolved over time. A key aspect of this evolution has come from listening and understanding diverse perspectives. Over the years, he has emphasized the importance of hearing others' voices with empathy and respect, especially those of goodwill with different opinions than his. This empathetic approach has allowed him to forge meaningful dialogues, build bridges between divides, and work towards solutions grounded in mutual understanding and respect. We are grateful for his commitment to constructive dialogue across difference. Today, Reverend Sharpton's influence continues to resonate, and he is recognized as one of the most prominent heirs to Shirley Chisholm's legacy, an honored Brooklyn native who has dedicated his life to carrying the mantle forward, pushing our society rooted in fairness and dignity and compassion. It's my privilege to present the Reverend Al Sharpton with this award in recognition of his leadership and profound commitment to justice. May his work inspire us to listen with empathy, act with integrity, and build a more just and compassionate world.
Let me say this. Thank you for this award. I went to Brooklyn College. When I went to Brooklyn College, I was living in Brownsville with my mother. My mother came from the Deep South. She never made it out of junior high school because of segregation. I was the first one in my family to go to college. We're back. I had 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And Cassandra Jones is on our message page at nationalactionnetwork.net, and she's saying, Kirkland Floyd, I suggest you do like California and others. March saying, hell no, we will not be replaced. All right, I think you sent that message. Kirkland Floyd is saying to Cassandra, this is what she responded to, it's a different battle today. The governor passed a law allowing motorists to run in and strike protesters with their cars. I got to check that out. I do not know if that is accurate. All right, let's go to Kali in New York. Kali, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, Reverend. Nice to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
And first, I should say thank you so much for the tremendous work you do for the people and for the community.
Thank you.
And as an immigrant, I thank God for you guys because you created a pathway for us, all of us. So thank you again for that. Rev, I spent roughly 30 years in technology. And interestingly, when I came to this country, I went to Brooklyn College. I was in chemistry, and I switched to computers because I could see that technology was going to become a force to reckon with. So I've spent the last 30 years in technology and the last 10 years in artificial intelligence. Now, Rev, just for a little bit of background, I've worked for some of the big companies, you know them, IBM, Citibank, ABN AMRO. These are huge banks, and I work in fintech, financial technology. I'm saying all of this to sort of lay a foundation. So over the years, I've hired tons of people. The typical job, a typical technology job is going to run you, and I'm not talking about like a secretary working at a technology company. I'm talking about, you know, either senior support or developer staff, 90,000 to 100,000. If you know like a specialized language like C++, you're talking about over 100,000. And if you're talking about things like artificial intelligence, which is fairly new, we're talking about 130,000 plus. What most people don't know, Rev, is that you don't even need a college degree to get this kind of income. Now, over the years, I've gone into so many meetings, and as the sole person in that meeting that represents the African American community, they expect you to speak for the whole community. Now, artificial intelligence is a major change coming down the pike. I have an artificial intelligence company, but what I want to talk to you about is the opportunity in the community, because since it's such a new technology, since it's such a new impact, it's going to create a lot of jobs and it's going to take away a lot of jobs, which means that the community needs guidance. They need information. They need to know where this technology is going. And they need people like us, like myself, who are in the decision-making process, who are part of the people who are making decisions that are going to affect people's lives. And so, you know, by the way, I have your daughter's email address. I'm going to send her an email after I finish talking to you. But, Rev, again, a lot of these jobs, over the years, I hired so many people, but a lot of them are from overseas. And in our community, the young people can learn to write code. Mm-hmm. It's not that complicated. Even my platform, our platform, allows it so that you can write, you can start out with knowing no program, and you can learn to write code, basic code obviously, and then you can write more advanced code, and then you can write AI type code. And there's a significant difference between ordinary programming and AI programming. It's just like, you know, there are all different kinds of technologies, and so you have to be specific in terms of AI, you know, certain skill sets. But Rev, this is going to, you know, take the average, let's say 2026, 2027 HBCU graduation class. Some of them are in technology, some of them are trying to figure out what they're going to do, and some of them right now are in jobs that AI is going to pretty much put on the sidelines, or if it doesn't, it's going to reduce the amount of income they can make off those jobs. So, you know, in our community, we have a lot of information, but it's in pockets, it's in islands, and island information means nothing to anybody unless it can be shared, and you know, everybody, the young people will learn from this. So, Rev, that's why I'm reaching out to you, and I'm going to, again, send an email to your daughter so we can work together, because I think, honestly, I saw that you have a program for the youth, and this is right up my alley in the sense that
No, we need that. And let me ask you something. With AI coming in and more dominant every day, what are the dangers that AI posts, and how do we prepare for that to protect ourselves and our families and our children from false information through AI? Because I think you're absolutely right. I think we're sleeping on something that is imminent.
Right. So AI poses a danger, but it's not the danger that most people think. Let me give you an example, Rev. So you remember, okay, everybody knows that COVID, in the COVID crisis, one of the issues we had was that people couldn't breathe properly, and so therefore they had these oxygen sensors they put on your finger, and it would tell how oxygenated your blood is, right?
Right.
Because that was tested on mostly light-skinned people, the error that was given, well, the reading that was given for black people had to be adjusted. And I can assure you that quite a few of us died because of that stupid thing. My point is this: artificial intelligence is built around a lot of data, but data can be like statistics, can say anything. And the thing is, take for example a mortgage application where you're going to use AI based on a lot of data to decide whether or not somebody gets the mortgage. Now, if the sample data is incorrect, what is likely to happen? Well, in the Caribbean community, for example, a lot of people have a thing called partner or SUSR or some version of something like that. But basically, what it is it's a self-serving. They save their money and together. Now, if that is not factored into the AI, then it's going to make an incorrect decision. It's going to say the person isn't qualified. And so it's the decisions that it's going to make that is going to be adverse to our community, which is where I see the biggest danger. Not whether or not it's going to chase us out of town or take over our lives like that. That to me, Rev, we're about 30 years from that portion, from what people really get scared of.
Oh, okay.
What people need to be scared of is when these models are created, and they call them models. But when these models are created, they're created based on data. And if the data is not put in right, Rev, in our community, our numbers are a little different from the standard community outside. And so if those adjustments aren't made, then the decision that it's going to make is going to be incorrect. And it's going to have adverse, and they're going to say, well, we didn't make it, it was an AI. So therefore, we have nothing to do, we wash our hands. And that's not true. So one of the things, Rev, in this bill, in the new bill that they're coming out with, the big ugly bill, is that no local authority can create rules against AI. So take New York City, for example. Let's say New York City realizes that these mortgage decisions or credit decisions, that's really what they are incorrect because they use the sample data or the data set they use is discriminatory. They can't pass any laws to regulate that. That's what's in this bill right now. So it's these little tiny little things that seem that's almost invisible to the average person. That is really detrimental because you're talking about someone being able to buy a house, for example, or get a car, or some get into a school or some version of something. So from that perspective, that's where the danger lies. To me, the biggest.
Yeah, well, I think that it is important that we learn this. So I'm really gonna look forward, Colin, to you, colleague, for you to be in touch with Dominique. We need to really figure out a way to start getting this information to our community. Thank you for your call and your knowledge. Let me go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio. Raj, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thanks for taking my call, Rev. How you doing today? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for taking my call. No, I wanted to give out my couple of my inspirational artists
you know, from history, Stevie Wonder and at least, you know, like the work he did and, you know, and some of the songs he put out. And he was with the world, the world tour. What was that?
We Are the World.
We Are the World, yeah. He was with them too. And then the Three Sisters, I can't believe.
The Supremes?
Yeah, the Supremes, yeah. Yeah, that one song they made, Love Child, because that reminded me of both, like them and Stevie Wonder, they sung songs that were relative to poverty growing up and during the Jim Crow era.
Yeah, and they were all Motown acts. They started in the same company under Berry Gordy.
Right. And but I wanted to say too that Trump he got ruled against or flat out lost like 4 court cases in one day, same day, recently. It was regarding the Job Corps that he shut down.
Right.
They ruled against that he couldn't do that. And then same with Department of Education. And matter of fact, the judge in that appealed, I guess his lawyers appealed the case, the judge ruled that he had to rehire all 1,300 staff members that he fired, unconstitutionally fired. And then the judge just came short of ordering those, 1,500, quote, no, it was just under 1,000 Venezuelans that got deported to El Salvador. But the judge ordered them that they had to have an explanation. His administration had to have a valid explanation of how they're going to give them their due process.
Right.
And he gave them a week to do that. And then that case where the bombing in California was not California, Colorado, where this Egyptian national, I guess, bombed the gathering at the pro-Zionist, pro-Israel group. There's pro-Israeli group. That's probably suspect they were Zionists, but the Trump administration was going to deport his entire family, including the 4-year-old girl. And the judge stopped him on that.
And what was interesting is when they came out with the whole announcement of banning 19 countries from having travel to the United States, as a result of this shooter, he didn't ban Egypt. The guy was from Egypt. He banned everywhere else. Very strange. Or maybe it's not. Thank you for your call, Raj. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God can smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say it. I said, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burdened down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 come smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I said, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Clayton Powell said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brother in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Lord, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Sit down. And every We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way. If you just keep the faith and refuse to lose, and God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God had smiled on me. He had that victory. Let me
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, effect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Respecting our past.
And I have tears in my eyes, Rev, because this is a narrative that this generation, they need to know. And they need to hear that a black man who lived against the entire civil rights movement, that everyone who was assassinated, that everyone who joined in March, this will never be. We got a right to. I have a dream today.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, where injustice goes, he follows.
30 years ago, Yusuf Hawkins was the young 16-year-old brother killed for being in a white neighborhood in Brooklyn. I got stabbed leading one of those marches.
Keeping it real with America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-732-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to our live stream. We do show live stream now. And you can go on the message board. I'll read a message at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Go to live stream and send us a message. I'm joined, as I am every Tuesday at this hour, by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church of Harlem, New York, and a member of the National Board of National Action Network, and an author and scholar, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Reverend Pastor Mike?
Pretty good, Rev. How you doing today?
Pretty good. Let me ask you, it's Black Music Month, and talk to us about the significance in from a historic context of gospel music. Because I think, and I want you to address it, I want to address different parts, because I think that when we hear contemporary gospel music, so-called, and we go back into the evolution of gospel, gospel music was different at different points in our history. Explain how that process worked.
Yeah, I think that gospel, as you just said it, Rev, every generation there are different iterations of gospel music, all the way back from Thomas Dorsey and what could be considered mainstream, traditional, quote unquote, gospel music with the likes of, Mahalia Jackson and the gospel caravan and the like, all the way up to what we call contemporary gospel. What I find interesting about gospel music is that, 25 years ago, there were people who didn't like Kurt Franklin. Now Kurt Franklin is considered old school gospel. They thought he was too contemporary. And the truth is that gospel music has always had this kind of, I would say, this combination of blues and jazz sensibilities that are mostly connected to blues. The different riffs in gospel music are from the blues and from jazz and even from some early rock formations. And so I love the fact that gospel has always evolved. The truth is, gospel music has been more intentional and evolving than the church has been. But each generation of gospel music artists has a way of infusing the tradition with certain sounds that are reflective and culturally relative in the moment. And I think that's what I love about it. There's some people we hear today in gospel, people say, well, that's just going too far. 10 years from now, they're going to call that traditional gospel.
Right.
So I think that its roots are all connected really from the blues, which has its connection to the bassline drum of African music, and then the inflection of jazz, which is the real American classical music. All those things make up. There was a time in rhythm and blues, R&B, even rock, where you saw some artists like Ray Charles and others who grew up in the church who were infusing a lot of their riffs with this kind of gospel sensibility and sound. And there were people who were calling him sacrilegious and a heretic for doing that. But then even if you take the Clark sisters, who now we look at as legends, when they came out back in their day, You Are the Sunshine, everybody thought that was too contemporary to be considered gospel music. And they were shunned and talked about. So I think every generation has its ability to explore the different depths of gospel music to make it relevant for their own time. And that's what I love about gospel music. And the good thing is that even those new artists always borrow from the tradition, understand the tradition.
Yeah, I remember when Edwin Hawkins made "Oh Happy Day," and
Happy Day, yeah,
it went pop. People said you done left the church, and I mean it was a huge hit, and nobody was more gospel based than the Hawkins singers. So I've seen some of that. Now, explain to me in a church context. You pastor one of the major churches in the country. How the gospel music as we knew it in terms of choirs and performers have also changed with time. Because there was a time you would evaluate a church by the big choir, and now it's more of a smaller group of perfected singers, and the big choir is almost like archaic. When you walk in a church to see a choir with 300 people, you like, wow, are we going in a museum?
Right. I mean, I think part of it is because, as music evolved, I think certain sounds were designed. I think initially, for example, take Kirk Franklin. When Kirk Franklin came out, he had a big choir. As the sound shifted, he started downsizing and started, as you said, using specific voices to create a specific sound. And many of our churches now, and I'll take FCBC where I serve. We'll hear the choir maybe first Sunday most of the time. Other than that, it's different iterations of a worship team, which is about maybe 8 people, and then they're making that same sound. I think with the different audio equipment we have now, the ability to amplify voices in a different way, the ability to modulate voices through technology. I think you can go to some place where I've seen 5 people singing and it sounded like a choir, right? So I think that with technology, audio technology, that advancement, it kind of reduced the necessity for these large choirs. As you said, it's kind of archaic now. Very rarely do you go into church and see a big 200-voice choir, where there was a time where that was the norm, and you may have had maybe on special moments a smaller group. Well, now the worship or praise teams are what dominate most of music now, and the music is shaped for smaller groups. The key is having less people who can harmonize better than having more people where everybody may not have been as great at harmonizing, but they were covered through the mass of people singing.
Now, do you think that the black gospel experience is still dominant in the whole question of what is called religious music or music, faith music, as it commercially was? Because I remember coming along, Mahalia Jackson and others set the standard for religious music. Is that still the case in your judgment?
I don't think the Mahalia Jackson set the standard anymore for music. I think Mahalia Jackson sets the standards for many artists who are committed to having a historic sensibility of the evolution of the genre. But I don't think in terms of tone, in terms of how it's being done. No longer that's the case. I think one thing, for example, this is a real evolution, many African churches African American churches find themselves using music that has emerged from some white liberal Christian background. So this idea, for example, of elevation church, this elevation sound, which was a white church predominantly. Now, granted, many of the singers were black, but this new kind of contemporary worship sound, where it's still honoring God, still honoring Jesus, but having a combination of rhythmic flavors that are so diverse and so infused with history. If you listen to it, you even hear remixes of traditional song. I heard last night, someone sent me a song, Rev, of a contemporary version of It Is Well With My Soul. It was profound, beautiful. Wow. You can hear the lyrics are still there, the words are still there, but the phrasing, the rhythms, the melodies were a little different, but it was still paying homage to the traditional hymn. So I think you see a lot of that, actually. You see a lot of traditional hymns being remixed in ways to make them relevant to Gen Z or even some young millennials.
Prairie Carrington's right on our message page. Good afternoon, Reverend Walron. Who is your favorite gospel artist, if at all, of all times? Did you listen to Bishop Hutchins, who recently passed last week? He used to sing with Bishop Blake's West Angeles Church. I'll come after the break and let you answer Prairie. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Walron, be right back.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
a race baiter. Yeah, right. I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell it. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere, but when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They catch me on MSNBC now. They catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. No just stand still. No just stand still. No just stand still. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine at the shade. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
That's when Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, came to me, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who was pastor here now, that Ethiopian Coptic cross. That was my first hero on civil rights and politics.
As I know here, you're in trouble, where it says about 30% are unemployed. That's why I'm working hard to get this surplus food here. Some of you say to me, well, I'm not like you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our guest co-host. Let me repeat, Reverend Walron Prairie Area, Carrington says, good afternoon, Reverend Walron. Who is your favorite gospel artist of all times? Did you listen to Bishop Hutchins, who recently passed late last week? He used to sing with Bishop Blake's West Angeles. That's West Angeles Church of God in Christ. I'm sure you know that. Is Rev Waller on there?
I got him up.
Yes, Rev, I'm here. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said this might throw you, Rev. My favorite of all time, and I think it's because growing up in my household and listening to my grandmother and others sing, I'm going to tell you, of all time, it's actually James Cleveland, Rev, surprisingly.
Wow.
Because I could tell you, I heard the song so much growing up that they've just stuck with me. God is, Lord, help me to hold out. Where is your faith? God has smiled on me. Peace be still.
Yep.
He decided to die. I know those songs like the back of my hand. And then Sunday mornings when I get up getting ready to go to church, I find myself often drawn to listening to James Cleveland songs before I go. And I listen to other things too, but I always start off with kind of the old school James Cleveland and go from there.
No, well, you know that I wouldn't have guessed that about you, but I certainly share that with you, because James Cleveland used to come often to Washington Temple Church when I was growing up, and I knew him. He used to call me the boy preacher, but nobody was better than James Cleveland. And it's interesting you said what you said, because every morning, I work out in the mornings, as you know, and one of the songs I play is Aretha Franklin and James Cleveland, that live album they did at his church.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, at his church out in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah.
And I love that tune, Climbing High Mountain, Trying to Get Home. Her and James start riffing together. But nobody like James Cleveland.
No, if you think about a couple of years ago, they released the video footage from that
yeah,
live
they did.
performance.
They did.
And that thing went all over the place. Young people started hearing, understanding Aretha's gospel roots and James Cleveland. It was amazing. We had a screening at the church. Church was packed. I mean, I was amazed by that.
Wow.
But yeah, no, you can't get away from some of those old songs, man.
And what people didn't know is that James Cleveland used to be the musical director at Aretha's father's church, Reverend C.L. Franklin. And that's
C.L. Franklin, yeah.
they came up together. And as me growing up as a boy preaching, I'd be preaching, as a little, whatever, during these programs. I never knew I was around Black history. I did several cities with Mahalia Jackson. I never knew till I was almost in high school how much Mahalia meant, singing at the March on Washington, all that, because you're just normalized because you're in that circle. And I thank God for putting me there. But that's our history. That is our history.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, Mahalia plays that pivotal role, Rev, because you know history enough to know that people at the March on Washington said King wasn't doing so great until Mahalia said, "Tell him about the dream, Martin."
That's
he
right.
shifted.
That's
to
right.
I have a dream speech. So yeah.
No, that's a fact. Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, who was the executive director to Dr. King and the first chairman of the board of National Action Network, he told me that he had heard Dr. King do I Have a Dream on the road 5 or 6 times, because that was, we all have our own way of climaxing our sermons, particularly when you travel a lot and people have not heard that climax and have heard about it. So he said, I heard that before and getting ready to go down, and he says that Mahalia yelled because she felt that Dr. King was flat in whatever his climax was.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You better go get that dream, Martin." and Wyatt said that he got mad. He said he didn't want to hear "I Have a Dream" one more time, and he said, and it ended up riveting the crowd. And what a lot of people don't understand, talk about this history, and I thank God now that I grew up under the guys that were the real lieutenants and soldiers of the movement. I used to sit and hear all these stories, and what Wyatt told me is that there was so much competition in the civil rights leadership that they wanted to put Dr. King late in the afternoon, and they figured the TV time was over, let him go, because they all were jealous of his popularity. And they put him up like 2 or 3 o'clock, and many of the people had started walking back to the buses because they had to go back to Georgia, back to Alabama, back to Tennessee. And they put Mahalia up to sing to draw the crowd back. People said, "Man, forget about the bus. Mahalia getting ready to sing." And that's why they were there. When she finished, they put up Dr. King and the crowd was back.
Well, I'm going to throw a little bit more history. And I know where Dr. King got the "I Have a Dream" from Praise Hill Hall.
That's right.
And that was my neighbor growing up as a child.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
No.
Sure was. And her son and I went to Morehouse together.
Praise Hill Hall is exactly where Dr. King got "I Have a Dream" from. Just like
I didn't know who she was coming up. I didn't know the significance, as you said, what a historical figure she was until I got a little older. At Morehouse, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I had no idea. She was very quiet. She was under, but when I got to Morehouse and they were talking, I was watching a video freshman year. I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "I know who this is." And then she came to speak while I was a student at Morehouse in the chapel.
Wow. Now that's Black history.
Yeah. For real.
Well, Rodney Jones, the mayor, puts on our message page. I remember the commercials on TV in NYC area on how to purchase the CDs of James Cleveland's music. The song that James Brown and I did with me preaching and them singing was his variation of James Cleveland's "God Has Smiled on Me." And James Brown just put it more up-tempo and had me preach in between. But James Brown, now the Godfather of Soul, was a James Cleveland fanatic. He loved James Cleveland. And then, you know, people wouldn't believe it, but he loved to get, you know, he had about 32 cars down there at his estate. He loved to get me in the car, and we'd go sit outside of Daddy Grace's church down in Augusta, still there, Pentecostal House of Prayer, and listen to the band and the choir. And Don't Let a Gospel Show Come Through, the Swanee Quintet or the Mighty Clouds of Joy. He loved that. But a lot of it there was a lot of cross-section between gospel music and R&B and what became known as soul music. And many of them went back and forth between singing both. Little Richard is the best example.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was saying earlier. There was always this intersection between gospel and R&B and the blues, and the music overlapped.
Right.
The musical riffs were the same, and they just changed certain melodies and lyrics, but it was very much the same. So you can't. It's hard to separate what we would consider black music. It's hard to separate even R&B from hip hop, from jazz, from gospel. As you said, James Brown used a lot of gospel riffs in his music,
right.
And then you get the hip hop artist sampling James Brown. It's all connected.
All connected, and but no, you're right. And I remember, like you said, James Cleveland playing in my house. Sam Cooke, A Change Gonna Come, and Sam Cooke was a great gospel singer. Was a member of a gospel group. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let me take my break. You and I talked through a whole break on gospel music. This is the right subject, though. People need to hear. Let's talk right after the break. We're keeping it real. Sharpton, Walron. Be right back. Country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say this song. I say God has smiled on me. He has set
And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 come smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smile on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Clayton Powell said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has the answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way. If you just keep the faith and refuse to lose, and God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron, our co-host. Let me say this. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And they're going to be doing marches all over the country and protesting as Donald Trump will be doing his parade, military parade, which is really for his birthday. So I'm having a lot of people around the country that will be talking to me live about what's going on the ground and what's going on in Washington, and members of Congress talking about what they're going to do in light of what had happened in California. Don't miss Saturday and Sunday on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in New York, in Eastern Time all over the country. Also, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. And, of course, it will be at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we got a lot. We winding down in New York. The mayor's race today is the governor's primary in New Jersey. We'll be dealing with all of that. And it's Father's Day weekend. I have a special thing for fathers we do on Father's Day weekend. So be at the rally this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. You that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television, or Impact Television is the only black-owned national gospel cable station or cable network, or you can watch it live stream on nationalactionnetwork.net. And Reverend Dr. Walron, I want you to tell us about FCBC. I'm going to hand the show to Dominique. I have to jump on a Zoom to talk with Hakeem Jeffries and them. She's going to close the show with you. But announce what's going on at FCBC and the rest of the show. I'll give you Tony Award winner Dominique Sharpton. That means you got to pay tithes higher now. You want a Tony.
For that. Yeah, even though my birthday was a couple of weeks ago, we're having a birthday concert at FCBC on Saturday at 8 p.m. featuring Vincent Bohannon, Mervyn Mayo, and Anthony Brown in group therapy. You can purchase tickets at fcbcnyc.org, fcbcnyc.org for gospel concert celebration featuring, again, Mervyn Mayo, Vincent Bohannon, and Anthony Brown in group therapy.
I want to be there. Thank you so much for that, Reverend Walron, and good afternoon to you, I should say. I do see that, in spite of everything, we got to stay active. So I do want to get Rufus. Rufus has been holding on. So Rev said make sure that Rufus gets to share his comments. So let's let Rufus chime in on what we've been discussing on the broadcast. Rufus on line 1, listening to us from Savannah, Georgia. Rufus, if you're there, you're keeping it real.
Okay. Hello. How y'all doing?
All right. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to send you my congratulations for your Tony Award.
Well, thank you.
And that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used to live in New York. I was just living in Harlem, but I used to be a ticket scalper.
Wow. Well.
That's how I met your daddy.
What? TMI, Rufus. I don't know what you're trying to tell us, Rufus.
No. He ain't did nothing wrong. How I met him is I was at Aretha Franklin. I was at a Aretha Franklin concert, the Four Tops and Aretha Franklin, and your dad was out there with some kids, a bunch of kids, and he was protesting them not, the kids needed jobs and all these black artists. Y'all got all these black artists, ain't no black people working for none of them. And, your daddy was, your daddy was something to deal with back then. But that's how, like I said, that's how I met your dad, because I used to hang around all the venues, all the Broadway shows and the concerts, because I could sell tickets. And but like I said, your dad, that's how I met him, and he was out there protesting for jobs for the promoters and jobs, they work for the black artists, certain black artists, and that's why I said that was a big deal for you for that Tony Award, because I used to hang around there, down on Broad, down there on 47th Street. And,
I got you.
And between all in that area. So I know it's a big deal. And somebody else who don't know about that kind of stuff, they don't know, what a Tony Award is. A Tony is like an Oscar.
Yes, it's definitely something. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, so I just I wanted to say that my favorite was Joe Lagan and Aretha Franklin. They remake their version of "I've Been in the Storm Too Long," and that Aretha Franklin and then Joe Lagan, they really throw down on that one. Yeah. So y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for your call. No, interestingly enough, and Rufus, was talking about my dad protesting down, on Broadway. I actually remember being a little girl and, remembering that fight, for him to be out there, really advocating for us to be seen. Reverend Walron beyond, being just entertainer. So, it's like, oh, you want us to be on the stage and you want us to perform night after night. But what about, us being, in charge of making decisions and things, as we are doing business on Broadway. And here we are. 30-something years later, and I'm on that Tony stage. So I hear you, Rufus, and I appreciate it. I feel that for our people, right? I feel that for the fight. So I definitely understand the moment, and I feel like, and just, inspiring other people, like anyone out there like that can, understand, we've got to stay involved, we've got to stay in the fight. We've got to stay committed, we can see progress and we can see victory, right, at the end of all the work that we put in. But we've got to put the work in and we've got to stay committed. And some days may not, seem like, it's going to look like we going to see it through. But other days, and if we know God, right, Reverend Walron, I believe that too.
Yeah.
I feel that, we can look forward to what those brighter days will bring for us if we just stay involved and stay committed. And so that's why we do this work. I feel like, that's why Rev and Reverend Walron and so many others get up every day to say, you know what, I've got to put my best foot forward. Because I know that I'm representing not only myself, but I'm representing the people, I'm representing the cause, I'm representing the commitment, right, that it takes to stay involved and to really see things through to the victory. And so I feel like we got the victory, y'all. We just got to stay involved. It's there. We can do it. We can see it. We can believe it. We can achieve it. I believe that, and I believe that these types of instances, right, as we are preparing for this march in August, as we are every day trying to look forward to finding solutions to, to couple our activism and our action and what we're doing, right, identifying that what we're doing to really make change, a reality for us. And so, I'm excited. I'm excited about this march in August. I'm excited about us continuing these types of conversations, these dialogues, and staying in the know. Every day we turn on the news, Reverend Walron, and we see something else, some other, crisis is happening. Yeah. And it's like, are we going to, really pay attention to all the noise, or are we going to push forward through to the solutions and setting forth that agenda that we, each individually, right, have to make every single day. And we've got a lot of decisions to make in life, right, every day, but we've got to also include what side are we on in terms of fighting for justice? Where are we going to be when they talk about who stood up for equality, who stood up for diversity, who stood up for, the change, that type of change? And what side of the fence do we want to be on? What side of the road do we want to, be on? I think that we have to make that decision and make that commitment, and I think the time is now. So with that said, I want to, thank everybody for calling in today, keeping it real as always. Rev is going to be back with us tomorrow. I want to thank you, Reverend Walron, for always doing what you do, fighting the good fight and standing up for all of us. Thank you. Continue the good work, and may God bless you as you continue every single day to do what you do. Thank y'all that called in today. Remember, Rev said, make sure y'all check out Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC every Saturday and Sunday. Make sure that y'all go to that website, sign up for that march, go and get some information, pay attention. But you can go to our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, for that information. And as Reverend Sharpton says, remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone that Reverend Al, Dominique is telling you, Reverend Walron is telling you, you got to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. We'll talk with y'all tomorrow.